Stand up, Vanguard!
Hey Cardfighters, Chris here from Vanguard Central, bringing you a new kind of Perdition-y cross mix. And so we'll just get straight into it. The starter is Static because he's really good. He's just going to help you get early field control. He swaps himself out for a retire on your opponent, and there's not much more you can ask for in a starter. We'll start with the G zone. We have 2 Mustafa. I really like this card. He applies a little bit of on-hit pressure with his unflip, and most importantly, when you get that first strike, you're going to be able to kill a targeted unit. And that was really important to me, because it's something that Kagero doesn't have sometimes. You really want to get into that first stride and just kill whatever you want. It's kind of the issue with this card, Mahmud, which was, very good card, back when Cross was big, you would play Mahmud. But the issue is people could just guard it and you wouldn't be able to get that retire off. With Mustafa, you get to kill, and then you still have an on-hit pressure of it basically acting like Mahmud if it hits. This is our little secret tech. Well, I guess it's not a secret anymore. But Cross Origin, his skill is actually worded that if your opponent has 2 grade 2s, you can get the crit even without a Steel Dragon Heart. So we have Mahmud usually to be flipped up by Cross Origin if you need it to be, and that gives us a surprise play for a crit if your opponent overcommits. We have 2 Root Flares just to get around resist. Sometimes that's important, and to really punish people's field if you need it. And then we have 2 Ace for the finisher. I'm looking into getting 2 more. Probably gonna wait for the Legend deck that comes out. Yeah, ooh, Legend deck Kagero. I'm really excited. But I'll probably switch out the other 2 Root Flares for Ace, just because it's a important mix-up for Kagero to have, being able to pressure your opponent's hand and do damage rather than killing cards like all the grade 3s do. Speaking of grade 3s, we have 4 Overlord the Great. This card's super good for grinding out games, constantly restanding, checking more triggers. Really love this card. And his on-hit is actually, useful sometimes. If your opponent really commits to field, you can, pressure them early game. We have 2 Cross, and, 3 Cross, ooh, wow, can't count, and 2 End. Getting ahead of myself, thinking about the ends while I was talking about the Cross. So this is kind of a weird lineup, because a lot of people are used to seeing the 4 Cross, 3 End, and 2 Greats. But I really like the Great. I really like the Perdition name, giving you a little bit of more options. And this is just kind of my concession that the 3 and 2 is kind of my concession that Ace is really strong, and I need a bunch of Overlords to do that. And the 3 and 2 is actually not that bad. If you damage the End, it's really bad, because then you can't get End skill off anymore. But it works out. I haven't had too many problems with it, especially since I'm pretty much only going into the Great. I have the option always the Great over the Cross, but Cross is definitely useful and is an amazing backup Vanguard. Going to the grade 2s, because we're focusing on the Great and have 4 of them for that Perdition name, we're able to use Menace Laser, which gives us a really cheap early game option compared to Berserk Dragon, where Berserk Dragon would counterblast 2 to kill something. We can just get 1 with Menace Laser, and that gives us a little bit of an edge, makes us a little bit faster, and it's not a dead card because most of the time we're going to be on the Great anyway. We have 4 Neoflames for the Great's mate. It's going to really help control your opponent's field, which is a really key point to Kagero's strategies. And also having 4 lets us Legion over and over again, which can be necessary if games go long. And then lastly, we have 4 Burnouts. This card is really good for the grind game. And it's really good for that because you're able to put your your Overlords back into the deck, which means you can Legion back more triggers, but still have the grade 3s there to draw into, to Legion even more. And the cycle kind of continues. He's also a free retire, right? Because he only Soul Blasts, which isn't too much of a cost in this deck. We have 4 of the Unflipping Perfect Guards. Again, kind of a concession to the long game that Kagero plays. You're going to be able to unflip a lot with these. I like to leave 1 in my drop zone and then Legion back another Perfect Guard if I have 2. It keeps my defenses high, as well as getting consistent unflips and pressuring my opponent that way. we're running 4 Stridefodders. The 4 Stridefodders is for options. A lot of decks I like to play now, I run 3 to 4 Stridefodders, even if it's a Legion focused deck, just because I want to have options. I don't want to be like, oh, I have to Legion because, you know, I don't have an option, or like I can't Legion, so I have to go for Stride plays, and it's not really good, in my opinion, to have to be forced into those options. So I like to play these just for that. And then we have, because we're playing Perdition and focus on that Perdition, kind of like the hybrid, but more focused on Perditions, we get to play Perdition Dragonitzer Anna, who's just incredible. Because she unflips 2 when you call her for Soul Blast 1. And that means, you know, a lot of other players, other cross players, you might have heard the combo where you use Burnout and then Athonic to get, you know, Ace active if you only have, if you don't have any counterblast open. But in this case, we're going to be on Great. If they have an empty column, boom, there's our 2 unflip counterblasts for the Ace. And that can really, you know, come out of nowhere and is really good, again, for the long game, because you have so much more counterblast than people are expecting. And then these last 2, I'm still kind of playing around with them. I'm trying Majid now because when he is called to an open column, sorry, open for your opponent, he gets to Soul Blast 1, and then you get to give any of your units +4. So you can turn the cross into a 26 unboosted. You can make 20 columns early, which is good for pushing your opponent to higher damage, so they're forced to guard the later attacks. And it's been really good for me. You'll notice that I don't run Calamity Tower, because I really don't like the 5k, and I don't think the grade 2s have space for 12ks anymore. There's a lot of good options for grade 2s, and I don't want to run a 5k that's just going to make crappy columns all game. And lastly, we go into the triggers. We're running 2, 6 crits, 2 of each art, just to kind of fake people out, keep them guessing how many crits we're running. Because, you know, if you've probably guessed already, we're running 6 critical and 6 draw. 4 Gatling Claws to help kill starters. It's really good for, you know, killing their starter can really kind of like bump you ahead. Their starters are really key in the game nowadays, and so getting rid of it can put you ahead in tempo. And then, you know, 2 art pits helps a little bit with the power, but just mainly there for a little bit of extra effects and draw triggers. And lastly, of course, 4 heals. As always, thanks for watching. Please give us a thumbs up, it helps out a lot. Comment down below, what do you think about this cross deck? Are you excited for the legend deck? What do you think is going to come in? Are there any changes you think I could make to help my deck get better? Always looking to improve my decks. And subscribe for more content. Vanguard Central, out.